Hey everyone, welcome to Ludicrous Feed Live this 7th of July 2022. Nice to see you all there in the live chat. And tonight's topic, as you can see, is about BYD in Australia, in particular the Atto 3. Yes, the BYD Atto 3, which many of you know that the deliveries have been delayed, unfortunately, in Australia. We'll talk about all the news about that tonight, and we'll try and get through some questions and answers as well from all of you on the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. I know some of you might be first-timers. Welcome indeed to the stream. You'll see our format very shortly, but we'll have lots of discussion, lots of engagement, so make sure you get in the chat there tonight and say hello, and maybe tell us where you're watching from tonight. If you're watching on replay, hello as well, and do the same. Tell me where you're watching from, and I guess tonight's question is, I'll just pop it up now, is if you have got a BYD order, what made you decide to order a BYD Atto 3 originally? That's tonight's question, so leave that your answers in the live stream chat tonight. All right, I'm going to bring on some of our regular guests for the moment. Ooh, not that one. We're going to bring on my good friend Riz from Car Loop, and also editor for The Driven. That's Riz Akhtar. Hey Riz, nice to see you there.
Thanks, Tom. Great to be on again.
Indeed, thanks for joining us. And of course, also Rahul Prasad as well. Hello Rahul, nice to see you.
G'day Tom, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Very well indeed. Rahul is also a former BYD order holder as well, so we'll get his perspective too very shortly. Now, I just wanted to do a bit of housekeeping before we get into tonight's topic, and that is to announce last week's winner. We had a giveaway last week for a Ludicrous Feed cap, which is this right here, this beautiful cap here. And the way to win one was to have the lowest VIN number for the Tesla Model Y. And I just want to say congratulations to Chris H, who is our winner for the Model Y VIN Ludicrous Fat Cap giveaway. And Chris has already been informed, so congratulations, Chris. Well done. And you should get your cap very shortly too. So well done. Thanks everyone for taking part as well. And thank you to Rahul Prasad, who was the one who donated that cap for the giveaway. Thanks, Rahul.
Lovely. I'm very, very jealous, Chris. You'll have to post something on your social media with the cap so we can all like that post for you.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so to kick off tonight's proceedings, I just also want to introduce one more guest tonight. He's also my good friend, is Mr. Scott McGregor, and I'm going to introduce him to you guys right now, put him on the stream. Hello, Scott.
Hello from laggy Lake Macquarie. I was going to say, Tom, I might have to turn experience for everybody. So, if I'm coming through to you slowly to talk about BYD and the Atto 3, we can all relate to that particular story, right? And that's why we're here. So I might turn my camera off, but how does that go now?
Yeah, that's fine, Scott. No problem
at all.
Better? We've seen you. All good.
Yeah, but
so that's fine.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. No, I'm glad you said that, not me. Given you're the BYD order holder currently. So, but we do feel your pain. We do feel your pain, and everyone else watching.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, I'm not like the delay, but once again, we'll get into the nitty gritty of that, I guess, soon.
Yep, indeed we will. Now, what I want to do is actually read out the email that a lot of you BYD order holders received last week now. So today's the 7th of July, so it would have been a week ago tomorrow. A letter or email from BYD or EV Direct, who is the local distributor here in Australia for BYD. But before we do that, I just want to just point out to tonight's poll. We put a poll each week on the stream, and tonight's question is for BYD Atto 3 order holders, which I'm sure there are a lot of you tonight. Given recent news of delivery delays, what are you planning to do? We've got 4 options. Number 1, hold on to my BYD order. Number 2, cancel order and forget EVs for now. Not forever, just for now. Number 3, cancel order and order another EV. Hold BYD order and... number 4, hold BYD order and order another EV. And I am glad to say that actually a lot of you are very loyal to BYD or EV Direct, at least for now. 50 votes, and 76% of you for now are saying hold on to the BYD order. So, you know what? That's actually very reassuring to hear, and I'm sure reassuring for a lot of you as well. And I'm very interested in 8% of you saying hold the BYD order and order another EV. So if you're one of those 8% tonight, make sure you leave a comment in the live stream. What else did you order in the interim? Rahul's making it rain at the moment, I can see there. Well, you know what? I think BYD Atto 3 is so affordable that you could probably add another EV to the garage there. So that's one benefit for sure.
Yeah.
And also I want to say hello to all the members tonight too. So thank you so much, all of you folk in green there, all of you Ludicrous Feed members. Lovely to see you all. And I see that some of you are from Melbourne, spending a chilly evening there. Is that chilly over there, Riz and Rahul, at the moment, Melbourne?
Yeah, pretty cold.
Got the nod. Yep.
Look, we can't complain. We had a gorgeous sunny day today. Our hearts and our thoughts go out to the people in, Sydney, Western Sydney, and I hope everyone is well, and their houses are okay, their lives are okay. So we cannot complain. It's a little bit cold, but nothing what Sydney has experienced in the last couple of months. So thoughts and prayers to everyone in New South Wales and Sydney.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. I'm okay here in northern Sydney. Just Scott, are you all right over there? Are you in the Hunter region, I believe, or Lake Macquarie at least?
Yeah, Lake Macquarie. So we've certainly experienced it. I mean, just through the week there, we were actually essentially blocked off from all major roads out. So we're fine at the moment, but there's a lot of people that have been hit hard. A lot of the properties just collapsing and things like that. So it's been pretty full on. It just seems to have come out of nowhere, but there was obviously a lot of water already in the ground. So the rain that's come has just come, we just can't take a break. We just can't get dry. So
no, we do feel for
you.
We're
safe.
Good. Yeah, we feel for those who've been flooded a few times already this year. Yeah, it's no good. But if you're watching, hopefully, this hour or so will give you some relief from the realities at the moment. All right, let's put on the stream the email that all you BYD order holders would have received in the last week. So here we go. So I'm going to read it out. Just bear with me here. It says, to Australia's first BYD customers, we have some exciting news about the imminent Australian launch of BYD, the most anticipated and affordable new energy automotive brand to enter the Australian market. So the first point is about enhanced national retail model, the first of its kind in the EV sector. We are pleased to have finalised arrangements with Eagers Automotive, which is Australia's largest and most experienced new car retailer, to become our exclusive retail partner. This means BYD will be the first and only new energy automotive brand to launch in Australia, with a nationwide presence in selected strategic markets and a best-in-class logistics, servicing and vehicle preparation network to support our customers. The new multi-format retail network will deliver major benefits for our customers, including a further enhanced digital sales experience both online and in-store, as well as a more personalised vehicle handover and a comprehensive after-sales support service spanning a national network of parts and service locations. We are pleased to confirm that My Car will complement this new BYD expansion and will continue to provide authorised service locations for BYD customers through their network of EV-ready stores across Australia. This, in conjunction with Eagers network, will ensure that BYD customers have access to the largest EV servicing capability across Australia. And look, personally, I think I'm glad they put this first because, for me personally, service is number one. After you buy a car, you've got to make sure you've got everything in order to service these cars, because cars are cars. And Scott, being a order holder, is that reassuring, knowing that this Eagers deal is going to happen?
Yeah, I think initially with the My Car thing, I wasn't too perturbed about that. And as we know with EVs, the servicing is so minimal. And I guess that's something that we're also waiting on, is to find out what the scheduling and the pricing and those kind of things will be like. I guess for some people it is going to be reassuring to know there's some kind of network that they can rely on. I'm not too worried, knowing that there's obviously, of course, if there's going to be some kind of warranty claim or some kind of issue, you want to know you can get in touch with someone. And I'm in, like you said earlier, I'm in Lake Macquarie, New South Wales. But yeah, I guess for some, it's going to give breadth to the network and the capability for the BYDs to be delivered and B, to be supported if there's an issue. I was really a big, probably advocate of that kind of experience centre where you just place your order and then get service through My Car. But they've obviously and I mean, I know there's been some discussions around people feel that might be, there's going to be some kind of extra service fees and things like that. At the end of the day, like if we've committed to buy the car at a certain price, that's what it'll be delivered on. I think Luke's kind of been pretty adamant about that the price they've advertised for is what we'll pay. And then after that, it is a little bit of a wait and see, but there's a 7-year warranty and I'm sure the servicing will come in reasonable in terms of the fact that it is an EV.
Yeah, speaking of Luke, I did extend an invitation to Luke to join us tonight. He may or may not attend, I'm not sure, but he did certainly send me a text. So we'll get to Luke's text a bit later on. He did want to bring some points across to the audience tonight. So let's get to the crux of the email now. So this is what has stirred a bit of, I guess, controversy in the BYD people waiting for the BYDs. This particular part of the email here. When can I get behind the wheel of my Atto 3? So thank you to those customers who have been amongst the first to lock in your BYD Atto 3 by placing early orders. It is well publicized that the global automotive industry as a whole is under pressure from a range of supply chain issues and logistics disruptions. While BYD's model provides robust protection from many of these challenges, regrettably we have been impacted by the current holistic industry conditions. Despite our best efforts to minimize the impact on our customers, test drives and initial deliveries will be pushed back by approximately 6 to 8 weeks. While we apologise to customers for this date alteration, we are delighted to confirm that production of Australian BYD Atto 3s has commenced, and we have secured increased dedicated production capacity to enable a steady supply of vehicles into the Australian market commencing from August 2022. I want to throw out to Riz now. I guess Riz often does help us with charts of production and supply and deliveries from China, I guess, for Tesla. Riz, what are your thoughts on this? Has obviously supply chains has affected BYD as well as Tesla?
Yeah, I think so. I think BYD's production has ramped up quite significantly, and I think we'll cover that later in the stream. When we have a look at some of the production numbers from BYD, and yeah, that's a good example. It sort of covers, what they were producing last year to what they're doing this year. And if we look at the June production numbers already, that's nearly tripling what they produced last June, right? And that just goes to show that the production's ramping up very quickly, and they're opening new plants. Not all of them will be producing cars for the right-hand drive markets, but it seems to be that they're expanding relatively quickly and ramping things up. They want this to work. They want right-hand drive markets like Australia and New Zealand and some of the Asian markets to work, because that's sort of, I think, a smarter way of proving to the rest of the world that your product is as good as you say it is. And, not just launching it in Norway, which other brands like NIO and others have done, including BYD. They've shipped cars to Norway, but, at least trying it in a market where they can win, where there is demand and there's people willing to spend the money and the incentives and subsidies are there. So in terms of production, it's ramping up. I think once we get the initial batch of cars into the country, there's no going back. They will supply, and I think they'll stick true to their words. So yeah, I'm very excited. Like, this BYD is going to really impact the EV uptake in the country. And those little delays that BYD may not have been impacted, as you can see by the purple bars on the chart, the whole year they've pretty much consistently increased production. even within those lockdown periods that Tesla saw in Shanghai, and BYD's manufacturing plants are outside of that region. But I think it's going to be, they will ramp up, and they'll ramp up quickly and get cars to us, particularly after the first batch. It's just going to go up from there.
Yeah, and I'll go through Luke's text. He was quite, he was quite adamant to tell me that, yes, this is a delay, but once we get things going, as you said, Riz, this should be a one-off, hopefully. We should see a constant supply. I guess there's a bit of a disconnect, just logically. I thought the email initially was saying that, holistic, sort of global issues with supply chains, but we're seeing here in your slide that it's going up and up. So, can we speculate as to what the delay is being caused by for this situation?
I think in this case it would more be around shipping and getting cars to Australia. Like, that's something that they haven't done in masses yet. They've basically dribbled cars from China in the past to Australia, and we've seen some of them around, but they haven't had this opportunity to do that. And it's not just them, it's all the manufacturers are having just as much trouble. Like Volvo only a couple of weeks ago basically cancelled all the 2022 orders and told their customers for the XC40 Recharge to either pay up and upgrade to a 2023 car, or we'll give you a refund.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that was probably 4 or 6 weeks ago now. Okay. And yeah, they had to cancel a whole lot of customer orders because they just couldn't fulfill. They were not making 2022 cars anymore. And that was partially to do with supply chain issues, but also I think there's the shipping component that it's not commonly discussed. And obviously, Vida sort of understands the shipping industry a bit better than I do. And, just my understanding, my amateur understanding is there's a big sort of glut of ships, trying to get into China to be loaded to then leave. And unless you have all your ducks in a row, all the cars produced, quality assured, at the docks, ready to go type of thing, the ships are not going to wait for anybody. So there's those concerns, but I feel that once they do this, it's like anything else, right? You give anything a go for the first time, you try it a couple of times, and then you get used to it, and then it can only get better from there. So I think that's sort of the hidden sort of story within this email that, and it's hard for people like Luke and others to know because, looking at how the car industry traditionally works, dealers half the time have no idea what's going on, and the manufacturers rarely tell them what's happening. So in some cases, EV Direct is not a dealer, but being an importer, they're sort of stuck in that same sort of situation where there's a bit of a disconnect unless, which I'm sure when things get better, there will be representatives at BYD in China that will work very closely with the teams here, and that relationship will only get better. Yeah. So we'll have more information, more timely information once things start to sort of roll off and we start to get cars into the country.
Yeah. Look, I think I'm hoping these are just teething issues, as you said, Riz. This is the first time this has happened. So I think I saw someone on social today say this is the first fleet of BYD cars coming to Australia. Once that channel is established, then hopefully it'll be smoother passage moving forward.
I think it just, put it simply, it takes time to build dreams. And when you're building big dreams, it can take a bit longer.
Nice.
And BYD will build our dreams once they get the cars here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's build our dreams. I'm very happy with that. Now, you also said something about the fact that prices are going up for Volvo, and I noticed too in the chat, someone reminded me that, in fact, I think you did, Riz, that EV6 went up in price today. And is that right?
In the last week or so, they've sort of had a fairly sharp price increase, and I believe it's around about $4,000. And I also understand that it's for existing orders as well.
Wow.
Now,
yeah.
And I think there might be a couple on car sales that are up around $100,000 for the top model. I think a few people have got them in and then put them on car sales for premium price. But it's across the board.
Yeah.
And I
That's-
really hope that BYD sort of sticks to that with their early adopters. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I'm hoping, I'm pretty sure they won't increase the price for order holders. That would just be a kick, right? I don't think that'll happen. At least for the first bunch that come anyway. It'd just be too much, I think. All right, let's keep going with the email. Let's read on. It says, next steps, you do not need to do anything as a result of this notice. Our team will contact you in the coming weeks to provide you with an update regarding your individual vehicle and begin preparations for its delivery process. We continue to work around the clock to minimize the delivery times. In the coming days, we will announce the locations of BYD experience centers and delivery points across key convenient locations Australia-wide. Customers will be provided with the opportunity to take delivery of the new Atto 3 at the dedicated location of your choice. Customers will be also be offered the choice of home delivery with a virtual handover option with a delivery fee to apply. I think that's news to me, delivery fee to apply. Scott, is that news to you as well?
Yes, mate, but I think, that might also relate to, like we were a bit touching on before, probably earlier today, was the fact that, if you can get to My Car, if you can get to Eagers, you're probably going to be fine. But if you opt for some other boutique kind of way of delivering it outside of that structure, then you probably are. And agree with what, and Riz, just quickly too, going back a bit, Riz nailed it. Once the levy breaks with these guys, and this is where I say, you put 1,000 down with faith that you'll get the car, and you will, but you got to give these guys a chance. They're trying to do something positive here in bringing an affordable EV to the market, and it does take time. Others have tried and failed. Tom, we've spoken to people in the past who have tried to do it, and they haven't been able to do it. So, there's at least one or two of them here, right? Or there's one here in right-hand drive, right? So as more come, once the levy breaks, I think, and back to everyone's fighting to get cars on ships at the moment with the shutdowns and getting out of Shanghai. So I think once they get a roll on, I think people will be happy. And once they hit the road, I think they'll hit the ground running, and people been into the experience center and seen them. But once you see a right-hand drive and you see people charging them and people start talking about it, just like we've done with other EVs in the past, that I think the levy will break for them, and I think they'll get, the sales that they're looking for.
Yep.
But look, I think if you do, it's like with any business. If you go for, of course, there's going to be a cost, and I think we have to be reasonable to understand that if you're going for a special kind of delivery, that there may be some added costs, but what that entails, I guess, remains to be seen. But I'll just get to My Car or Eagers and pick mine up. So,
well, I guess for me, it's I think there has been, I've heard talk of confusion as to what the word production means. That's an interesting word, because I think I've seen emails in the past few months where it seems like production has already started, but now they're confirming in this email that it has commenced again. So, I mean, what does production actually mean?
Yeah, and I fell for that too, because you had your everyone's been logging into their My account to try and work out where things are up to. And of course, it was a few months ago now, or a month or so ago, that it said it was in production. Yeah, that's it. So you went, oh, this is great. And so initially my estimated delivery was July, and I thought, okay, fantastic. And then, of course, you're thinking, well, if it's in production and it however long it takes, and then from there that you got a month, things are on track. So I guess, people were were under the perception that, they'll get them in July for those that were in that first batch. And keeping in mind, registered with BYD and EV Direct, knew that on the 11th, you had to get your order in by the 11th of March, which was that Friday, to get in that first batch. And then after that, obviously there's been but true. And I think once again, we're just relying on an account with some basic triggers that have probably got some parameters set as to as to the life cycle of when the deposit is placed and when you actually get the car. So
Yep.
obviously, you know, they've had to come clean and let us know that there are some delays. And I think for most deliveries now, I think most customers and people might be able to elaborate on the chat, is that October or they're, you know, December, January. I think there's a few into 2023, but they might be some of the, depending on whether you get the standard range or the extended range, and also to those people that jumped onto the red, because red wasn't initially available as well. So once again, and then if those first 1,500 or 3,000 cars or whatever it is have to fight to get onto ships, then of course there's going to be a staggered approach in getting the cars here. But yes, it is I mean, in transit, but obviously we now know why we're not seeing that.
I want to throw Raul a question actually, and also to the rest of the chat too, who have got orders. So let's put a more positive spin on why people decided to originally order a BYD Atto 3. And Rahul, as I said before, is a former BYD Atto 3 order holder. Rahul, why did you order a BYD initially?
Great question, Tom. Can I just go back a little bit and just
yes, of course.
I guess throw a couple of positive points there. I mean, look, for the price point, under 50K, you know, massive bang for buck in an EV ground up model with the BYD. I think we have discussed the BYD previously on some of your previous shows, and just some of the features that come with the BYD, with the normal range, with the extended range. Amazing bang for buck. The car's got a lot of personality for under 50K. I think still eligible for EV benefits, the rebate here in Victoria. So that's amazing. My wife and I, we were waiting for the Model Y, but we just had no idea when the Model Y was going to open up for orders. So we did place a late order on the BYD in the red color. Looked pretty easy, $1,000, under 50K. And thinking for us at that stage was looking at pricing for Model Y. It looked like it was going to be around the 85, 90K mark. Being a family of two adults, a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old, we just thought we could, you know, maximize our money in terms of the BYD order by actually not one, but getting 2 cars for the price of 1 Model Y. So that was a big consideration for us. We did end up cancelling it, but I did this way before I got the email, or people have got the email from BYD announcing the delays, and that was just because we know the Tesla brand. We think the supercharging network, because we travel interstate or regional a fair bit, and having kids, knowing that the additional space in the Tesla Model Y is going to serve us a lot better as a family. You know, we were happy to pay the premium for the luxury of having a Tesla Model Y.
Yeah, great points. And I've seen some other points in the chat here. So Scott, thanks Scott for putting this LFP blade battery, of course. Great value, you know, great price for that technology. BYD's got great reputation for its blade battery, which Tesla's now going to be using as well moving forward, I believe. And you also said a heat pump and electric tailgate. So yeah, I mean, I've seen the cars myself in Sydney, and they're, you know, it's such good value for 50 grand. And having seen Trevor Long's review as well, the right-hand drive car looks pretty good. I'm looking forward to see how they implement all the, I guess, local English words in the screen, which I've only seen them in Chinese previously. So yeah, it'd be good to see how they do all that moving forward when it does come eventually. And look, Riz, I just saw your comment earlier. It says that just to put into perspective, RAV4 hybrid models are 12 to 18 months wait at the moment. That's very true. So let's put things in perspective here. 6 to 8 week wait is tiny compared to 12 to 18 months for the RAV4. Very good point.
Yeah, Tom, if I could just quickly add to that as well. Even if you take that from a perspective of EV cars being available in Australia, I guess the 6 to 8 weeks is not really that long a time frame. If we're talking first week of July currently, 8 weeks takes us to what, August, kind of end of August, maybe September. My current Model Y order is scheduled for somewhere between August to November. Kia, Hyundai, and Volvo, some of the names that are struggling to bring cars into Australia in bigger numbers. So I guess once BYD starts getting these cars into the country, and people get their hands on them, start driving them, start posting some reviews, sharing them on social media, I think we're going to see that price point is going to be very, very attractive for people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think BYD is definitely here to stay, for sure. Scott, throwing back to you now. What's the current mood? I mean, you're very prominent in the BYD Facebook group. What's the mood with the news from last week?
The EV owners group, which I think there's about 7,500 members on there. There's also an Australian BYD EV owners group as well, which has got about 1,500. But the mood is mixed. Some people. I think the other point I will make, Tom, too, is there's a lot of legacy car owners that are transitioning to an EV for the first time with EV Direct and BYD. So that's the one thing I am noticing, because people are asking, how do I charge the car? Can I get solar panels? All these different questions, which is, once again, very thought-provoking, and it's a fantastic thing for people to be thinking about. And so, yeah, disheartened because they're waiting for their first EV. So there's a lot of pressure on EV Direct to deliver, because it's not just BYD or EV Direct's first EV in Australia. It's also some of the potential customers. It's their first EV. Yep. So they're really keen to see them land. So there is, lots of discussions. And then also, too, to be fair, there's always someone on there that says, these are first world problems. I'm happy to wait. And probably the customer that'll get the most joy is the one that hasn't spent time worrying about it. They'll get that phone call, or they'll get that email, or they'll log into their account and go, oh, it's being shipped, it's on its way. So it depends. I do get it that people, 50 grand is still a lot of, 45 to 50 with incentives is still a lot for people. And so there's probably some anxiety around that. So for some people, this might also be their first new car as well. I think we have to consider that. And I can see, Riz, you've mentioned there, fuel. People don't want to pay for fuel anymore, from an economic standpoint, let alone from an environmental standpoint. People are struggling to put food on the table, and so spending thousands and thousands of dollars a year on fuel when you can charge at home, and the convenience is what has got people really. They're really there's an excitement. And so that with that comes disappointment, because the car's not here and they're just so excited to get behind it, to get behind the wheel. So there is certainly, encourage anyone who's thinking about it to jump onto the group. There's lots of great discussions on there, and you can go right back through the threads, obviously. And you'll get a mixed review, but there are certainly, some people are a bit upset about it. I mean, people are talking about, I might go get something else, but I just don't know what else they're going to get. And as has been kind of said in the chat there, 6 to 8 week wait. And yes, there'll be some naysayers that'll say, well, we've heard this before, but I think we have, and the team there at EV Direct are trying to do with BYD. Honestly do.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. And I mean, I'll segue now into Luke's text. So Luke does send his apologies for not being able to join us tonight, but he did want me to be to pass on the message to BYD Atto 3 order holders that he's frustrated as well. It's not just you guys and girls. He's frustrated. His team's frustrated. Obviously, there's something there that's caused the delay. As he said in the email, challenges outside of his control sometimes. And he said, never before has a new brand sold 3,000 plus vehicles on launch and rolled out infrastructure we have across eagers, like they're going to do with my car as well. And he also made note of Kia's price bump today, or recently, for order holders as well, which it sounds like from his text he's not going to bump up prices for order holders, so we can reassure order holders already with that, which is good. And look, he's saying that even with this delay, they've renegotiated with BYD apparently to double their production capacity. So they're hoping they're going to make up to 3,000 cars per month coming to Australia. So yeah, well, that's positive stuff from Luke, and hopefully we'll see that. As we said before, it's just a teething issue first time round, and once we establish that channel, things will just happen. And I think it's important for me personally to see BYD succeed in Australia. I think being at that price point, it will get a lot of people into EVs in Australia. So my very, very best wishes to Luke and the team that will make this succeed in Australia.
I just want to quickly add a point
and
there
that's a
as
good
well.
point you make.
That Scott
Is the competition.
touched on.
Oh, sorry, Scott. I might. We'll go get Rahul on first. Keep going, Rahul.
Thanks. I was just going to add on. Scott mentioned that there are a lot of legacy owners obviously transitioning to EV, and I think there could be, and Scott can probably talk about this a bit more, perhaps there's a bunch of people in there who are now looking at that 6 to 8 weeks delay, like me, would be looking at selling their existing car to somebody and obviously waiting, to offload that legacy car for an EV, and what that's going to do in terms of what price they might be able to get for that legacy car, knowing that there is a delay of 6 to 8 weeks now, considering fuel is going up. I think Riz also mentioned that the fuel levy comes off in September as well. Perhaps Scott can maybe just quickly address that, whether he's had any concerns amongst any order holders in that Facebook group.
Yeah, so there has, and I'm glad you actually brought that up, because one thing is the finance. So some of us have gone and got pre-approval, which is going, in some cases, may expire before cars arrive. And so people are probably anxious about going back through the finance process as well. And yeah, I've got my wife's people mover on car sales at the moment, and I'm getting inquiries, but I can't sell it yet because I need another car. We're a 2-car family, so we need that second car. We've got one EV, and the second one's a legacy car, a combustion engine. So yes, that is certainly something that people have got to juggle. And for me, I've just been buy combustion engine cars, which helps when you're trying to transition to an EV yourself. But yeah, there's that, and also the finance. But I think I went through Macquarie and I got the 3 months approval with a 3-month option to extend. And so I've opted on that because my 3 months would have ended at the end of this month. So I've been extended through to October. So that should cover me, touch wood. But others, and I think I also locked in that 2.99% to Tom, because I remember,
Brilliant.
they had that interest, they had that offer, and so I locked that in, and then since then it's obviously gone up, and there's because the interest rate's low, and I want to get the paperwork done, and so then it's done, and then you're kind of settled and ready to transition, but. So there's a few things, and that there's going to be some inconveniences for some people who were reliant. But to be fair, we were never given an exact date. It's not like we were given a delivery date and they've now shifted at 8 weeks. We were just given a ballpark figure, and we knew that. And anyone that's been following EV Direct and Luke and what he's been doing with BYD for a long time knew that it was going to take some time. And I think once again, there's going to be some inconveniences, but we'll get around it.
No, very well said, Scott. As you said, it was an expected delivery time. It's not like a hard date. And us Tesla owners will know what that's about, right? It's like 6 to 12 month window, and we just hope for the best. I think unfortunately that's the way the world is at the moment. I just want to thank Jez for another $4.20, $4.20. Thank you very much. Yes, some of you may have seen my post today on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You saw a peek of my new garage floor. Yes, I'm very happy with it. So we'll release that video very shortly. Very impressed with the work that the guys did on the floor. So, thank you, Jez. Thank you, everyone, for, donating on the channel. That's part of your funds going to that floor. So thank you. Make the channel better. Indeed. Now, I just want to, I guess the next question is, well, that's kind of the poll really tonight, you know, light of recent news of delivery days, will you keep your Atto 3 order? I guess I want to expand on this a bit more for those who, for the 8%, is it? No, for the 11% of people who cancelled and said, forget it. You know, maybe you can expand a bit more in the chat if you want to, and tell us why, and what's your next best option from here. So that's the question tonight too. Now, what was I going to say? Yes, we've got. Yeah, Riz, do you want to talk more about your charts? I've got one more chart that we've got here that we can talk about.
Yep.
This one here, sales
Cool.
trends.
So this, just goes to show BYD in China produces a Yuan Plus, which is also the Atto 3 in two configurations. I believe there's a plug-in hybrid, and there is a full electric version, and they're starting to ramp up the electric version's production quite a bit. The June figures should come out in the next 2 to 3 days. It will be in the company reports, but then it'll be confirmed by the China Passenger Car Association as well. And I'm hoping that, well, I believe it's probably going to be around 15,000 BYD Atto 3s that they will produce, pure electric cars, in June, and it will only go up from there. So the trends are looking sort of, in the right direction for us. And we also, I guess, have to sometimes think about that they need to fulfill their local market first, which is where, they've sort of developed their company and built it to where it is. And any sort of exports where they have to convert to right-hand drive, and they will work on building that, but they're going to be a bit more cautious on that. So yes, 6 to 8 weeks, bit of a delay, but given that things are ramping up in their production of this particular EV, ground up EV for under 50 grand, as we've spoken about a couple of times, it's going to be, once they start the right-hand drive production line, and, as we've seen some production confirmations with some order holders, it's going to be pretty dedicated to making sure that, they hit their initial orders and sort of keep going from there. So let's continue to monitor these production trends for the Atto 3 over the coming months. But as soon as the June ones come out, I'll share it with everybody as well, so that, we can sort of see, and it gives a little bit of assurance that the company itself is doing what they can. And yes, the communication could be better in some ways for some customers, but I think once we get them into the showrooms, we get a couple of test drives happening, we get a couple of these cars out to a lot of the EV expos and events that are being run by advocates and other EV communities, things are only going to look positive. And once people see these cars, they want them.
Back on communication, actually, I forgot to say that Luke in his text also said that he will be, BYD Atto, EV Direct in Australia will be sending weekly updates with much more detail for customers as well. So now this is interesting. The last email that you guys got was Friday, and so tomorrow is Friday. So hopefully Friday is also BYD Day, like it is Tesla Day as well. So that'll be good. Well, be interesting to see what's in that email tomorrow, Scott.
Yes, mate, that would be good, and that has been something that, communication has been a bit short and limited. There's no qualms from me on that. I agree, but I know they're working as hard as they can, and it would be good if that ramps up a bit, just to keep people in the loop, and then people are not as anxious about where things are going.
Yep. Speaking of anxiety, I think the next step, actually, just knowing what happens with Tesla and what happened with Model 3 when it first came to Australia in 2019, was that Riz, you might probably help me with this. The place in the queue that you have may not necessarily correspond to the cars that get made. I know Tesla's like that. They get batched.
Yeah.
So I don't know what BYD is going to be like as well. I assume very similar, Riz? Do you know?
I think so. I think they, if we look at the configurator, it's quite limited in what you can sort of order in terms of the paint choices and some other options, similar to Tesla, right? It's the most effective way of producing anything. You produce the same thing over and over again. And if you're doing, 500 watt EVs, Atto 3s, you produce 500 watt of them, right? It just makes sense for the paint shop and other things at the end of sort of the production line, and the quality assurance people as well. They know they're going to be only looking at the white ones, and if something stands out, then they go and fix it. So from a production point of view and manufacturing, I think it's producing in large batches is the right way of doing it. We see it all the time now with Tesla production. There's poor order holders that have been waiting around for long range models since November last year. And there's others that ordered in March or April, and they're getting win numbers. So it's just what works, what they have. I guess with BYD, it's a little bit more simpler because they're all using their own batteries and in-house LFP battery packs. It's not like the Teslas where, with the Model 3s, the long range and the performances, you're using a different pack to the lithium phosphate iron pack and the SR Pluses. So there's many different elements where I think BYD is going to do well. And if they produce in batches, so, let's say Scott ordered a blue one and there is another, let's say out of those 3,000, another 500 that ordered the blue ones. Then if the Scott's got a confirmation that his order is in production or is being produced, then those others wouldn't be too far either. They don't always go in that, as we discussed, in the order that people place the order, but sometimes they try and do it in batches. So they may say, okay, we received 1,200 orders in the first 3 months from Australia, and out of those 1,200, 400 of them are blue, 600 are white, and whatever the other color is. Then they will sort of schedule them in that batch of 1,200 and then split it up into the 3 variants or the 3 colors that they have. So overall, I think things, once they start to produce the first batch and people have got confirmation, everyone should start receiving them soon, unless they recently placed an order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well said. And like you said, it's simpler with BYD, less options. They've got in-house batteries. Tesla, there's 3 different variants. Then you've got the colors, and you got etc. etc. So for now, it should be simple. The red obviously throws a spanner in the works, but again, not as complicated as Tesla. So hopefully, not too much anxiety when the VINs get assigned in 6 to 8 weeks' time. I wonder if Vita Prime's doing BYD as well, or just Tesla.
We'll have to send him a message and find out.
All right, I'll text him after the stream. I'll let you guys know.
Tom, I've got a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
One for you and Riz. Let's say if I ordered BYD Atto 3 today, would my order then come, let's say, in the next 6 to 8 weeks, or would there be a further wait? I guess you and Riz could answer that. And I had a question for Scott as well. I know we're all banking on, and it's unfortunate that Luke Todd couldn't be on the stream. Could have clarified a few things for us, but obviously we're all banking on that these orders are going to get fulfilled within the 6 to 8 weeks. But Scott, if the order didn't arrive in that 6 to 8 week period and there was a further delay, how would you feel about your order then?
Well, I'll just pop the EV Direct order page at the moment, and there we go. So estimated delivery is November, December 2022. So I would think probably add 6 to 8 weeks onto that at best guess, maybe longer. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought you got it, with the same as the first.
Yeah,
batch.
I'd be thinking, late December, early January. I mean, I know it says November. Then you could be going right at the back of the pack as well. For me personally, Raoul, in terms of the car, I'll just wait. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to play the waiting game if that's what happens in 6 to 8 weeks. But I don't think it will.
Yep.
I actually have a good feeling about kind of that August into September. I think it'll be fine. Like, if it goes into September, that's fine. So, August would be, fantastic. Middle of August would be great. But I think late August, early September, that would be fine. And to the point too earlier about the right-hand drive, the grey model that's here, I would only the only thing I would say, and I'm sure Luke, once again, as you've would have been great if they could have got a few more right-hand drives. If they've done a right-hand drive run for some of the other markets, they should have got a few more here to get into the hands of journos and I don't know, Tom, car reviewers of sorts and EV channels, just to get the word and the buzz to say, well, okay, there's some confidence here because we've got right-hand drive cars, wheels down, on the road behind with reviewers, and they'll be out on the roads, they'll be at charging locations and things like that, and it'll just get that really good word of mouth going, and also too through social media and through YouTube channels and streams and all the EV journos as well.
Yeah,
why that didn't happen, but I'm sure there are reasons why.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been good to get a few more cars in Australia for right-hand drive. I mean, obviously there was one. Trevor Long had the good review that he did for the right-hand drive. I believe that's Luke's car. Whether there's another car floating around, but there's definitely at least one. Speaking of going into other markets, so I did receive a communication from Richard from Auto Media Group Limited in New Zealand, and he was happy for me to share the fact that 2 days ago? No, yesterday, right-hand drive BYD Atto 3 cars touched down in New Zealand. So it looks like they'll be receiving their cars pretty soon. And he was happy for me to share that. So that might be potentially new news for people, knowing that New Zealand might get their Atto 3s very soon. So anybody from New Zealand watching, congratulations.
Sweet as, bro.
Yes, indeed. Maybe it's worth flying over there to have a look at them. What do you think?
Yeah.
If you're desperate for a test drive.
Jacinda Ardern's here in Melbourne.
Oh, she's
so
too.
We should be, we should get free flights over. Just on the delivery date. Now, Tom, I believe if you look at the standard model, that may go up January next year.
Oh, yes. Apologize. Yes. There we go. Okay. Yes, indeed. Sorry, I had the wrong one selected. Oh, longer range selected, yes.
Well, that's the long range one is the most commonly ordered car, based on some of the previous correspondences from EV Direct as well. But I think even with December, January, we have to remember if you order a Model 3 now, you're not getting it before sort of, I think it was February to May next year. So it's, give or take, I think there's just nothing else in the market like this. And the design's a bit polarizing on the interior for some people, but I personally think it's good. They're giving something new a go. And yeah, it's like one of those things, having, loved cars for pretty much most of my life and driven so many, sometimes you just don't know what the car is really like until you see it in the flesh.
Yep.
And I think that the pictures in some ways don't do it justice compared to the right-hand drive review that is available on YouTube that we've seen, and also a couple in the Hong Kong market. And I think it's going to be a good product when it comes out. And I think and there's one other aspect of it that I think Scott touched on briefly around, getting it out to chargers and getting people to see it. We get with the work that I do, we get a lot of requests from businesses around transition plans. So how are we going to transition our current ICE fleet to EVs? We have 120 Toyota Camrys Australia-wide. So what is our plan to transition them to EVs? And we've done a fair few for a couple of companies in the last couple of months. And, I tell them that this is the car that you need to look for. This car here is going to be the one that your employees, you would want a couple in your fleet to train your employees and to get them aware of the EVs are here. And if you're serious about transitioning, you'll be buying hundreds of these. So there's this huge untapped market for BYD in Australia for fleet customers and others, that I think that way it really helps get the word out there. Because if people at your workplace are driving EVs, they're charging while you're there, you get to see them, you get to feel them, you get to, really get to know what the car is like, and you're talking to someone who you trust, one of your colleagues, then I think that's really going to help this marketing of EVs and democratize what BYD and other EV only brands like Tesla are doing. So it's a huge opportunity. But yeah, I think as Scott said as well, we just got to give them a go.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, fleet cars are great for secondhand vehicles as well, because they get changed over quite quickly. So yeah, great point, Riz. Just want to quickly show this one on screen. Zapfod's blue car. The cars hitting New Zealand were originally destined for Australia, but due to the lack of ADRs and ANCAP, it was no use sending them here. I want to know where your source is, Zapfods. Stirring the pot there.
Yeah, and I have to say, Tom, that's a pretty big matzo ball, that one. Like I haven't heard that before. And I think I'll just say quickly, if New Zealand customers get cars before Aussie customers, I guarantee you Facebook will light up, because the New Zealand customers have really only just had the opportunity to place an order now. So that one is a big one. If it stands to be true, that would be disappointing.
Well, all I can say is Richard was the one who told me, and he was the one doing the stream with their local distributor over there. So he's telling me that the cars were unloaded from a ship. He said today, which is yesterday. You're right, though. It's going to cause a bit of a ruckus if that is the case, indeed. So very.
I think the subsidies in New Zealand are, quite generous, and there's no ambiguity around what the states are offering, what the federal government's offering. It's literally one subsidy. And that, I think, makes it so much easier for importer or distributor or a new brand to launch a car, because there is certainty. The government is serious about making this happen. And I think, yes, we have a new government now and things are changing, but over there the message has been there for a long time that we are serious. We're going to offer $8,000 or whatever it is of the clean car discount, and we're serious. So there's no need for you to talk to states or territories. It's just one government, one Department of Transport. So that sends a pretty big message to a brand like a car brand to say, yes, we have certainty to go. And even from Tesla's point of view, they bought in a lot of cars waiting for New South Wales rebates and subsidies to kick off earlier than they did. And those cars were available, and that's when inventory was pretty full. And so the states sort of gave Tesla a bit of run for their money. So I think that's where it's going to be important to see what that's like. And hopefully Australia and New Zealand launch BYD at the same time.
I hope so too. I hope so. For everyone's sake. Now let's move on a little bit to, I guess, the news roundup for this week. Greg has said for the panel, comment before about ChargeFox being bought out by Car Club. So that was big news this week as well. Let's go around the room. So Rahul, what do you think about this?
I love it. I think if all the motoring clubs can get a standardized charging infrastructure in place, possibly even try and enhance the charging infrastructure, which we know with more EVs coming on the market is currently lacking. That would be fantastic. I think some people have also raised that there are certain black spots around Australia when they're traveling. I think particularly around Queensland going up north, and I think obviously around WA going up west as well. If we could plug those gaps as well with some of these motoring groups now taking charge of this infrastructure, fantastic. I absolutely love it. I think it could be a game changer.
Yeah. And Scott, obviously this is great news for non-Tesla vehicles, having more DC chargers around.
Yeah, and look, I think, I've mentioned to you before, Tom, and I shared some experiences with charge that have been going on. There might be some, reasons behind that with respect to COVID and workforce and supply of parts and things, but I think, if a big brother's going to come in and buy a company and do good things with it, then no qualms here. And I think, we definitely, and I mean, I've even seen with some of your videos recently, Tom, where you've gone to show a charger and it's out of order. So it's not a good look for those companies. So hopefully, hopefully this acquisition is going to turn things around for ChargeFox.
Yeah. This is a good sign for the fact that motoring services like NRMA, RSCV, like, is the tide changing? They're starting to see the light. EV's the future, etc.
I think it's a combination. I think what this press release doesn't cover is they were a pretty big shareholder already in ChargeFox and JetCharge, which is pretty much the founders are shared amongst ChargeFox and JetCharge. Tim Washington, he's sort of been in both companies, and initially when they launched, they raised quite a bit of money from Australian Motoring Services back in the day, and now what they've done is basically bought out the rest of the shares. So that's one point, and I think, as Rahul and Scott mentioned, I think it's a great thing for non-Tesla EVs to have a reliable, I guess, under one banner sort of a charging system. I also get a feeling that this is not the first time these number of chargers will change hands. It will happen again in the next probably 12 to 24 months. And let's just say it might be sold to a European company.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Riz knows something we don't.
There's a bit of work that's going on in the background, and there's one company out of Europe that's very interested in expanding into Australia.
Wow.
And I feel that they've got so much money that they need it to be aggregated to acquire it in the right way.
Does this company start with an I?
No.
No, okay, not that one. No, I'll say it's definitely a good thing. With all the BYDs coming, you need more chargers. That's the bottom line. And so with motoring companies taking over, go for it. Please add locations are good actually. Add more stalls on the East Coast. We can't have like 2 stalls per location. I'm sorry, it's rubbish. You need to have 6 to 8.
Just on the stall numbers, Tom, there's Raoul touched on it earlier. Queensland, they've announced the next stage of their rollout of the Queensland Electric Superhighway. Minimum 4 stalls.
Good.
75 kilowatts with 22 kilowatt redundancy. So that's going to be exciting. I'll find out a bit more next week. I'll speak to the guys in Eureka that are putting this out there, and then I'll share it with everyone on the live stream in the coming weeks. Excellent.
Sorry about the strong language, but 2 is just not good. Like, if one's broken, one's used, we're waiting there an hour. So 4 is great. 4 is absolute minimum. Now, just back to Zaphods. I'll give Zaphods a chance to clarify their position with the New Zealand cars. This is great. Bit of a rivalry here. So, back on Zaphods, think about it. We were supposed to get cars in July. New Zealand signed a distributor only recently. Oz had a distributor a year ago. Why else would New Zealand get cars first? Remember that New Zealand don't rely on ANCAP or Euro ANCAP. They accept the C ANCAP results, so they don't have delays like we do here. Late breaking news there. Interesting. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know. If we see some breaking news from New Zealand that they're going to get cars like this week or next week, then it's going to be very interesting indeed. So watch this space, everyone. Watch this space. Let's keep going with the
news.
Follow
the BYD Atto 3 EV owners group to find out more about that feedback.
Absolutely. We might have to do another one, Scott, next week or the week after if we get more news. Another stream. Now, I just want to just round up some more news before we close tonight. So, just quickly about Tesla was the best-selling EV in the UK for June 2022. It's fantastic. Good to see. And I think the Model Y was only just released there too. So, very good to see. And news that might be good for non-Tesla vehicles is the fact that Tesla is now Tesla to open superchargers in North America for all electric vehicles per White House documents. How? Why White House? Where did they get that from? Anyway, so that's what they're saying in North America. As we've touched on before, guys, about charging cables being the supercharging cables may not reach some of these cars. For example, the Audi e-tron is on the side here, so that's going to be interesting. And the same with the Porsche Taycan, it's on the side, so they're going to have to block a few chargers to get there. I don't know whether Tesla's going to retrofit these with better or longer cables. Thoughts, guys? How can we fix this problem moving forward?
I think I was talking to a gentleman from Tesla Owners Club in Norway, and he's saying the way it's done over there is there's only set amount of sites that allow for non-Tesla cars to charge there. And generally speaking, like the cost is, quite significant compared to a Tesla car. I think it's at least 70 or 80% more to charge a non-Tesla at a Tesla stall than it is to charge a Tesla in Europe and possibly in America as well. So they generally, the preference for those cars is to charge at a non-Tesla stall anyway. But I think one way they'll probably get around that is by having bays. Like in the US, I've seen some superchargers with like trailer bays, like bays for the car and the trailer. So I think having more of those sort of an open field type of superchargers, not like the ones we have here, which are quite cramped and whatnot. And there has to be a minimum stalls, like minimum 8 stalls for it to allow non-Teslas to charge there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We've got to have more stalls. That's the bottom line. Just interesting to note that this YouTuber, R. Simons, he's on a charging site that's a bit gravelly. The only one that's non-bitumen or non-asphalt I can see in Australia is the one in Berry in New South Wales. It's on grass, which occasionally gets ripped up. So, yeah, I think they need to be sturdy. At least pebbly, if not bitumen, for charging sites. We can't have it ripped up by cars all the time. Just saying. Next bit of news I want to share is this one.
Tom, can I just say quickly?
Yes, Scott.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just going to say quickly, and as Bjorn says, if the charge port's on the right side, it's on the wrong side. It should be on the left side, which is the right side.
The left side is the right side. I see what you're saying there. Nice. Have a look at this ute here. The Geely electric ute teased. Now, Geely are the makers of Volvo and Polestar. So, it looks okay. It looks like a ute. So, this will do well in Australia, I think. Looks like our utes. Dual cab ute. Model named Radar. Expected to be sold later this year under the Geely name.
Ute is what I would say.
Ute, yeah. Utes are very popular in this country. Yep. Chances are utes, I'm being very generalizing here, but they are the workhorse of this country, and they generally won't do road trips. I might get in trouble for saying this, but they're the tradesman's car. They're the working person's car. You'll charge it every day, right? Because you'll be working, charge it at night. It's got a full charge in the morning. It's perfect for electric use, electric fuel. We need more of these cars in Australia. Just saying.
I think LDV is the only brand. They've got a ET60 ute in New Zealand at the moment. And I think this ute will probably end up in New Zealand before it comes here.
Oh, New Zealand.
It's a slightly more mature market for EVs. That's the only reason why. But I think this thing will do really well here because a lot of the fleets, once again, apart from Camrys for their passenger cars, this 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive utes. So this would do really, really well here.
Yep, for sure. Well, we've got a lot of catching up to do, right? I mean, 10 years, lost decade, as many people are saying. So we need to, the federal government is hopefully making the right noise very soon. And yeah, Greg's saying they're a tax write-off as well. So makes it very compelling. Very true. And New Zealand has got the tax subsidy. That does help for sure. And finally, I guess, I think Rahul put this on our Discord chat earlier, EV insurance. So I'm occasionally sponsored by EV to do videos for them or talk about EV on my videos. So if you want to get into an EV car, that's the insurance. They're very good, very transparent with how things work. So get onto ev.com.au and that's what you can read about if you are wanting to test drive a car for a bit longer than a couple of hours. Not even that, probably half an hour now with the Model Y. So there you go. That's what you can do with the EV. All right, gentlemen, is there anything else you all want to add before we close up tonight?
Good.
Thanks everyone for joining us again this evening. If this is your first time, welcome, and make sure you like, subscribe to Tesla Tom's YouTube channel, Ludicrous Feed, one of the OGs of this Tesla community here in Australia, or EV community here in Australia, which is ever growing. So we're all very grateful that we get a channel that we can all share our obsessions with. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Raoul. That's very, very kind of you. That's very nice. I didn't ask him to say that, so that's very nice of him to say that.
He did, no.
No. Checks in the mail.
2 weeks.
Shipping delays.
And thank you for sponsoring the cap too for the giveaway. So I appreciate that.
You're most welcome. Welcome.
And thank you, Riz from Carloop.
Anytime. Always good to be on. Always good to read, the community's comments and be part of the EV discussion. I think we're all doing a great job. Tom, Raoul, Scott, everyone else that joins the stream as well. We all need our voices to get out there and tell people about the benefits of EVs. That's the only way we're going to decarbonize transport in Australia. So that's 20% of emissions in the country. So we're doing a good job every week when we catch up and sort of share the good news.
Yep. And thank you, Riz, for your charts as well. Always very informative. Love having you on.
Anytime.
And thank you to tonight's guest, Scott McGregor.
Okay, thanks, Tom. I feel like I'm about 20 seconds behind, but and I thought I'd actually sorted my PC out this time, but well done, boys. Yeah, great, really informative, and you did well with the data there, because the data speaks volumes, obviously. And I'll definitely be keeping my ear to the ground about our friends over in the Dutch, because anyway.
Yeah, so will I. No, thanks, Scott, for sharing your thoughts as well as the BYD order holder, and we'll see you next time. All right, gents, I'll see you next time. We'll cue the outro very soon. So thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thanks, Tom. See you.
Good night, everyone.
See ya. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Riz. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Scott. Great to have them on. And thank you all for joining us on the live stream. I saw the numbers go up to 210 at one stage. So, so good to chat about BYDs, EVs, everything like that on the stream. Good to have so much engagement. And thank you for all your comments as well. So we learned something today, and hopefully, fingers crossed, your BYD Atto 3s will come shortly to Australia. All right, well, just want to say good night and take care, and we'll see you at the next Ludicrous Feed Live. And as always, happy charging.